Hi everyone, good evening and thanks for tuning in. I'm Shihan and my team at Startup X is partnering with National Gallery Singapore to run Y-Lab Foundry 2021. In today's session, we'll be exploring how the paths of art and technology cross, providing a different experience and creating a new dimension in the art space. Before we jump into the chat with our speakers, I'd like to introduce Christine from my team, joining me in this exciting session this evening. Hi Christine!
Hello, hi everyone.
Right. I think we could actually start by taking everyone through what we can expect from today's session.
Yep, so thanks, Shahan. So hi everyone from Facebook Live. I'm Christine and I'm so excited to share about the Y-Lab Foundry program with you guys today. So for a start, I'll be sharing about today's agenda and we'll first give an introduction of the Y-Lab program, what it is about and what you guys will be signing up for. And also, I'm sure many of you have used the Squid Game's red light, green light filter on Instagram. I have tried it myself and it's so fun. So I'm so happy to share with you that we have invited the creator of this filter to join us for a fireside chat today. Have you tried the filter too, Shahan?
Right. I have actually. When Eugene shared it on his Instagram, I actually tried the filter and very proud to announce that I actually survived the game. So you'll be proud of me, Eugene. Yeah, so really excited that we have him back again with us today to share more about the art tech scene. And right after the session with Eugene, we'll also give everyone a sneak peek of what goes behind the scene for Y-Lab Foundry 2021 with Kevin Quah, co-founder of TicTag and alumni from the previous batch of Y-Lab Foundry program, and Kevin Lim, the Deputy Director of the Digital and Transformation team at National Gallery.
Yes, we are so excited about today's session. We would like to invite all of you joining us on Facebook Live today to join in today's chat as well. So if you have any questions, keep them coming in and we'll share them with the speakers. As for program-related questions, we'll answer them at the end of the session.
Yeah, so we also don't want to hold everyone up further. I know all of you are excited to hear from the artist that actually created the viral red light, green light filter. And fun fact, this filter actually received up to 88.8 million impressions on the first day of the launch. Well, what a mouthful. Yeah, but we have actually invited him to join us today to share, with us the ups and downs of embarking on an entrepreneurial journey in the art space, his inspiration, and how he actually manages to time and again launch viral art filters that actually so many people are trying it out. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our first speaker, Eugene Soh, founder of My Palace and Dude Studios, to join us on stage. Hello, Eugene. Oh, wow.
Hey, hello.
Nice backdrop you have there.
Yeah, now fully set up already.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, right. So I think everybody is very curious, about what you do. So maybe Eugene, you can just help us to start by, giving us a quick sharing about, what does My Palace and Dude Studios do, and what do you as an art tech artist do on a day-to-day basis?
So I run two companies. One of them is Dude. The other one is My Palace. My Palace was registered as a company because of you guys, actually, because of Startup X. Back then, it wasn't called Startup X, right? It was called Startup Weekend.
We do run Startup Weekend on the side as a community building program, but we also at the Startup X team, we also run programs to support entrepreneurs in this journey. So
yes, okay, got it. So at Dude, right, I've been doing that since I graduated. Actually, before I graduated from NTU, I've been kind of doing the same thing, which is taking on projects and then doing them. The projects can be something like an installation for the National Gallery, which is why I've been working with them for years and years. And then I went to the Y-Lab yesterday and I saw that they featured one of my $50 note AR filters there also, which I made for them a long time ago. Kevin is on the call also, right? I think it was 2018 or 19 when I made that filter.
Right.
So it is when you point at the $50 note, the $50 note will start to come to life. So that's one example of a project. And another example of a project at National Gallery would be at the third level, there is this architecture exhibition. Do you all know about it? There's a third level architecture exhibition, and then there is these two big projection screens along the corridor. If you stand in front of it, you wave your hands left and right. You can traverse you can go on this virtual tour around the forbidden areas of the National Gallery, like the rooftop and the prisoners' walkway to the courtroom. So I went to film those in virtual in 360 video, and then created that installation. So that installation is also like about 3 or 2 years old already, and it's still working. I'm very proud of it. That is
Right.
like, I'm actually quite amazed that it's still working.
Right. I
Then
think that's definitely exciting because you mentioned, right, it's something that it goes to all the places, that secret rooms and all of the gallery that nobody knows of. And through the art that you create, it helps to take the audience on a journey to all these secret rooms and let them understand the gallery a bit more.
yeah.
Definitely. I think so wanted to also go back to like, so on a day-to-day basis, do you like just create art after art, or how do you actually draw the inspiration to create all the filters that you are creating?
On a day-to-day, there is the stress of all these like commercial projects and also Mind Palace projects. Mind Palace projects, I don't categorize them as commercial projects because they are, well, they do pay me money to make these projects. I don't do them for the money. I don't do them for the money because they don't pay me as much as the Dude projects do. So there is this stress of all these commercial projects, but sometimes when I watch something really inspiring like Squid Game, I would be like, okay, I have to do something. Then all the client projects pause. Then I ask my staff to go, okay, you all handle the rest first. Let me do this. I will tell myself I'll spend 1 day to make the Squid Game filter, but it ended up being 3 days because I got so carried away. Then after 3 days, then okay, I launch. Then we don't expect anything to come from it, but it went viral on 88 billion impressions on the first day. Then after 88 million impressions on the first day, I misspoke there. Then it became 1 billion impressions in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Wow, that's really amazing. Speaking about viral piece, I heard that you actually started your art and tech journey because you had a photographic piece called The Last Kopitiam in 2012. Would you like to share more about that with us as well?
Wow, yes,
All
this is like
way back, yeah.
all these projects, right? They all, when I look at them, right, they all feel like they have been made by a different person, but it's all made by just one person because they are like, wow, different genres. One of them is art installation. That one that you just mentioned is a photography piece that I made in 2010. So that one was me trying to push the Photoshop boundaries for myself. I started mastering Photoshop, and I'm like, hey, why don't I Photoshop multiple people together? And then so those people in the Last Supper picture that I shot, they were all shot like one by one. Then I Photoshopped them together, and then it was published in a magazine called Campus Magazine. And then that was great. Then 2 years later, nobody cared about it. I forgot about it, and then it went viral on Facebook. So I don't know what happened. Maybe Facebook algorithm they change or what. But that year, 2012, it went viral. Then suddenly that kicked off my artistic career. So when that started, right, I started having like photography exhibitions, but I was trying to run away from this title of being called a photographer. So I tried to do bigger installations, work with National Gallery for non-photography kind of projects. Then I think I successfully ran away from that. I'm glad.
Right. And like you mentioned that there are so many pieces that you created, and even for My Palace, there are also the different art pieces that you created, right? So maybe what's one art piece that you like the most, and how long do you actually take to actually create the art piece?
Oh yeah, actually that's a very good question, because usually my favorite art piece is my latest art piece. So the latest one, there is quite a few. I made one filter. There is where you can do boxing. You can practice boxing. There is this little speed bag, AR speed bag, and then you can start to box it, and then it will count the number of punches that you do. The other one that I'm proud of is the Immersive Room. now we are building our second immersive room for NTUC Health. So these are like really big projects for me, because we convert one entire room in the elder daycare center into this interactive 360 immersive room space. So that one was because of, I'm not sure if I told you guys before, because in Mind Palace, what we were doing was virtual reality goggles. But the virtual reality goggles, right, after I have like quite a lot of them, I bring them to the nursing home and then we share around. Then after a while, right, they started to get a bit gross, like a bit smelly. Like, although we use like the antiseptic to go and clean and then put the eye mask, the hygiene mask while they are using it. When I was updating the software on all the headsets, right, then I'll put it to my face, then I'll go and check the computer. Then I realized my eyebrows start to itch. I'm like, oh no, it is because of these headsets. So like, if my eyebrows start to itch, can you imagine like if I pass it to the people in nursing homes, then their eyebrows are gonna itch, and then like some skin sensitivity thing. So I decided to rethink the whole concept of VR, and NTUC Health, they were the first ones like last year to take on this concept. I've been pitching it to like a few nursing homes, like, hey, who would come to me and ask to buy like VR goggles. Then I'm like, hey, I don't feel comfortable selling VR goggles anymore, but there is this other way that I thought of. Then NTUC Health, they commissioned me to turn an entire room in their elder care facility into a room that you can just walk in, and then suddenly you will see like all the 360 videos and all the interactive stuff on the walls. So this was just nice launched before the circuit breaker. Then just nice, it wasn't big. A lot of people think that it's because of the COVID-19 situation, but it wasn't because of that. But it's just nice become very good for the COVID-19 situation, because once the pandemic hit, right, we confirm could not share VR headsets, because those are very, very intimate headsets. Yeah. Then just nice, I had this like 360 immersive room where they don't need to touch anything. They just walk inside and then they are experiencing what the VR goggles can do already. So actually quite a few nursing homes have been approaching me to do that. But I want to just work with one first, like do that one really solid. Now there's the second one. I think after this one, it would be quite solid already. Then I'll be more comfortable to like, okay, all of y'all can go and have the same thing now.
So it does, yeah, Christine. Yeah. Yep. So no, I just wanted to say like it's good that like he was so prepared for the, like, not say prepared for the pandemic, but more of like
just nice.
Off, right? Just nice. Yeah, the timing was so good. Yep. I have one question. So you mentioned that you have been working with commercial clients, not so much for Mind Palace, but how do you actually balance the wow and creative side with the demands and requirements from your commercial clients?
Wow, yeah, it's actually very demanding lah. So it's really, something's got to give lah. Something's got to give. Like, I don't go out and like my social life is zero. It's just like me and my girlfriend. That's all. The friends that I meet up with are actually the people that I work with for other projects. They will come here and then we'll celebrate birthdays. But these are the people, and then we'll talk about our project at the same time. So it's like no social life. Wow, something's really got to give lah. And then over the weekend, there was another deadline for a project on Monday, and so I didn't sleep for the weekend. So wow, it really messes with mental health also. Yeah, it's not easy, really. It's not easy, like doing all these projects.
Right. And I think going on that note, right, like since you mentioned your first artwork was about 10 years ago, 2010, 2012, and then it's been a very long journey for you yourself. And I'm sure that you've been through the ups and the downs. What are some of the challenges that your team has encountered in this journey? Like, what's your biggest challenge that you have encountered so far?
I think hiring people is my biggest challenge, because sometimes the all these projects, right, is never been done before by other people. Then I kind of have it in my head of how to do it.
Mm.
How do I get that in my head to tell the staff, okay, this is how you do it when nobody else in the world has done before, but you can do it. Then they'll be like, hey, how? Don't know how to do. So is that transfer of like what I have in my head to my staff to do is very challenging. Sometimes I just end up doing it myself. I'll just like, okay, this is how to do it. Then while showing them, I actually I finished the project while showing them already.
Right.
Like that.
Translating that thought into an actual art piece lah. Right. I would assume that that's one thing. But over the years, like, is there any tips that or revelation that you found, that helps to actually mitigate this a bit more? Given that your team would definitely is expanding, and you have more than one of you working on this.
I think it's more about confidence in yourself. Like sometimes when I work with people like freelancers or my own stuff, they might be not confident enough in themselves. They don't believe in their own ability, but actually they can do it. They just tell themselves that they can't do it. Then they really can't do it. So I think it's about confidence. Then maybe I have a lot of that. That's why I can do so much of it. I'm like, whenever a client like maybe Kevin will come to me for the virtual tour installation, I've never used the Kinect before, but I have an idea of how to do it. Then I told him like, okay, yeah, I can do it. And then 6 months later, it's really done.
I see. So other than like operational challenges like hiring, what do you think are some of the misconceptions people have about the art and tech space? Yeah.
Misconceptions, I don't even know what people think of the art and tech space. Yeah, I guess. Oh, there's one common misconception. They think that if you are an artist, you cannot be a programmer. But I am both of them at the same time. So I guess that's one misconception, that they are like, they try to box people up into categories like, okay, you are a programmer, right? So you can only do programming. Then, or you are an artist, then means you are very bad at computers. So that's not true, because I am really good at programming and I do artworks.
Great. Yeah, but I think one other misconception that I always hear is that I'm not good at art. I'm not an artist. But I really want to be one. Is there any tips that or that what do you think about such misconceptions, or are there any tips that you can give for budding artists like them?
Confidence. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's about what stories you tell yourself. Like if you start telling yourself, oh, I want to be an artist, but I'm not good at art, then it will really be true.
Right. So for everyone that's tuning in on Facebook Live, if you are thinking of starting an art tech solution, or you want to be an aspiring artist, Eugene having gone through the way, is telling you just be a bit more confidence, share, and I think reach out to the community to get the support and to learn along the way, right? Yeah.
Right. So actually, talking about Facebook Live, we have a question from one of our participants who is viewing it on Facebook now. So we have a question from LB Tan. Do you think that NFT is a short-term hype?
The NFT is a short form hype.
Short-term.
Oh, short-term.
Do you think it will last? Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be too short. I think it will last for quite a while. I think it's I wouldn't be confident enough to say it's here to stay. I think it's going to be quite a while. It might just be here 10 years later. It might.
Right. And how different is it, like for, on that note, like how different is it from when you started out to like you've seen it grow, the art tech space grew in the last 10 years, right? How different do you think it is now? And what are some of the trends do you foresee in, in the next 5 years?
Oh, how different? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's quite a lot of difference. Number one is the government is paying a lot of attention to it. So like National Arts Council, who else? MCCY, NYC, they are really, they have they have really given art and tech a lot of attention, like this creative space, this engineering space. So recently I've been doing quite a few government related projects and also like non-government related projects. I would say they are like kind of 50-50. Some of them international brands, some of them like government projects, so like 50-50. As compared to last time when I first started out, it would just be like purely commercial ones. So I think that's the difference. Now there's a lot of government interest.
Right, compared to 10 years ago, where it's still something that everyone's not as familiar about lah. Right. Okay. And Christine, you have any?
Right. So maybe you want to share like what's the exciting initiative your team is working on? Like maybe what can we look forward next? The next viral Squid Game?
So now if you over the weekend, what I completed was a messenger filter. So if you video call each other on Facebook Messenger, Meta Messenger, you can play this tempo run game together. There'll be this, you guys will be running down this corridor, and then a boulder will come rolling towards you. Then you're supposed to avoid obstacles, otherwise you get squashed by the rock behind you. So it's it is using a new tech called multi-peer API, where it's multiplayer. So now it's the next level of filters already. Now, filters usually is what we have experienced now is a solo experience. You just play by yourself. But now it's going to be one where you can video call your friend and then remotely play together. I'm quite excited about this because this would mean that that volunteers who want to volunteer at Mind Palace to go and talk to the elderly in the nursing homes, they can video call each other, and we can build some experience that they can experience together over video call.
Right, that's really exciting. So you say that you have done it over the weekend. When would it be launched?
It's launched already.
Oh,
so
it's launched already.
If you go to Facebook video call, you call each other, you look at the bottom, there's a little smiley face icon, you press it, and then it will bring up the filter tray. Then you scroll, there's quite a few. It was in beta for like a few months. I was one of their beta testers. So all of us will be like making little tests on it. I think mine is probably the most complex one so far. So you look for the one where there's a boulder rolling towards this little mushroom guy.
Sounds really cute, right? And back to the question on the trends, right? So we do have an audience from Kampate. I think we see that AR and VR is used widely, but that's just so much that has been done. So based on your experience, any other things that the industry is actually looking at?
If I'm reading that question correctly, it's like everybody has done everything already. What's left to do? Is it?
Something
is that the vibe of the question?
In that sense, is there any unexplored opportunities?
Got so many unexplored areas. Like for example, that video call one, the over. There are so many like unfinished projects in my head. There's just a lot of unexplored tech. The other one is body tracking, which is the one that I explored with the boxing filter. So that one is AR plus fitness already. So with that, I got a few more ideas that I want to develop for that body tracking technology. And then video call, that one just getting started. I have many ideas, but I hate talking about my ideas before I finish them. So I wait for me to finish them, complete them, launch already, then I talk about them.
Can definitely looking forward. So the very first one that we can look forward is the video calling on Instagram.
Yeah, already launched, already finished.
Right.
I can foresee a lot of our Facebook participants trying it out right now as they are tuning in.
Yeah, and then I think we have a question from Akira. So what do you think about art e-commerce nowadays? And do you shop art from any of the sites?
Oh, the NFT ones. I want to, but I don't have time. I know I should have. I know we are working with a national gallery. I don't know whether we can talk about it. Kevin, can we talk about it? The NFT thing.
maybe we'll keep that as a surprise first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my experience in the NFT world is quite limited, I would admit. I see my friends, I see my artist friends jumping on board, hoping to make $1 million in one day, which can happen, So I did put up an NFT, which is a screenshot of my desktop, and it didn't sell. So I'm like, okay, who would want to buy a screenshot of my desktop anyway? So okay lah, whatever.
Right. But
So I guess my story can help other people feel less discouraged, because all we are hearing is, oh, this guy made $1 million on his NFT, another guy sold for like 800,000, but my story is I put it out there and nobody buy. So yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm pretty sure there are other people out there as well. Right, and then we do have another question from our audience. But people, Christine.
Yeah, it's a question from Faye, also regarding NFT as well. Yeah, so sorry, let me load the question again.
Right. Okay. No worries, but I think that this is definitely something that, you know, the NFT is something up and coming. But whether there is opportunity in this space, I think it's to be decided. Maybe we can go back to, you know, being an art tech founder, and then sharing about your experience, like I think one thing about art tech founder is about, you know, how to actually partner with big corporates, or like, you know, you get so many of these big projects that we see outside. How do you actually reach out to these partners themselves? And also like what Christine also asked earlier, right? Like there is that creative side of you want to go to the extreme end, the artist end as well. But for a lot of corporate partners, they're a bit more conservative. So how do you actually manage that in between?
Ooh. So how I get these to work with big brands, usually they come to me. They were like, there will be, my email inbox would be full of inquiries like, hey, we want to do some AR thing on Instagram or on TikTok or Snapchat. Then I would tell them, okay, this is how much, and then if they're okay with the budget, then we go from there. So usually they come to me. I don't like, I've never like gone out there and like, hey, do you all want a AR filter? So it is not very sexy. Like, it's just they email me, I will code them, and then they're okay with the code. Then okay, we work together. Then so in that aspect, right, of them coming to me, means is quite advantageous for me, because they already know what I do. So they know that I like to explore new ideas. And usually when they come to me, it's because I explore new ideas. So I get a bit more leeway in dictating, okay, what the filter is going to be, or they will have a rough idea. Then I'll say, okay, we can do this in another way. Then they'll be like, okay, let's do that. Then, so I usually see it as less of a way to make money, but more of a way to push technology again. So I kill two birds in one stone. Like, okay, I get to do what I want to do anyway, but for a brand. I try to do that, but sometimes sometimes the brands will want a very specific thing and they don't want anything else. Then I'm like, okay, can also. Then I'll just quickly do.
Right, I see. But I see you were mentioning that people come to you now, but at the beginning, how do you actually get yourself being noticed out there when you first started in the art and tech space?
Yeah, I can understand the frustration of not having clients at the start. I guess at the start I didn't have any clients until I didn't even care about not having clients. I was just doing my own projects, because in my head I had a lot of ideas. So all these ideas, if they're just stuck inside my head, I don't like them being stuck inside my head. I have to just do them, and then for now, right, I'm starting to feel like I don't want any client projects, because there are so many ideas to do of my own. So I'm very appreciative of the projects that I have now, but I want to quickly finish them. And then do my own personal projects.
I see. I
So
see
at
you're
the,
really passionate about this space though. What's your biggest like motivation? What's the drive that keeps you going?
oh, I guess the drive that keeps me going is all this new tech that's popping up. And new tech means these projects nobody in the world has done before. So when I do them, we know for sure that this is the first in the world kind. So that is my drive. Also to, yeah, it's a bit of national pride also. Okay, this Singaporean did this. A Singaporean was the first one to do a filter like that. A Singaporean was the first one to build this kind of installation. So that's my kind of my motivation. It's an urgency lah. So we got to faster do it and stop everything and faster do it. So yeah, I guess if I didn't have that kind of urgency, it will be a lot of procrastination. Like, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll just do it tomorrow. Then never get done. So there's this. I think your question was very right. What is the motivation? I think without that motivation, things will just be procrastinated to no end.
Right. And we do have another question that's coming in. We are an edutech company. And so for the team, they are keen to explore how they can use edutech to teach people about art. So basically, wanted to tap on your thoughts on, the role of edutech in getting people exposed to the art scene.
What does he mean by edutech? I am actually not sure. Edutech. Is it like Zoom classes, or what does that mean? I'm not familiar, sorry.
Right. Yeah, maybe for the team that is dialing in, you can share a bit more about your idea, and then we can get Eugene's thoughts on, how we can actually use this to expose more people to the art scene as well.
Education plus technology. I'm reading that on the chat. So I'm guessing is teaching coding to kids. Is that it? Is that it?
Right. They are actually learning tools, and also like new ways basically to teach people about art.
Oh yeah, new ways of teaching people about art. I think there was this other project that I worked on recently. It was this year also, where they use my Last Supper picture to teach kids about art. It is kind of tech, kind of not tech. What they did was to print out the Last Supper picture inside this like booklet, and then this booklet is meant to be sent to the kids, and then the teacher is teaching them remotely through Zoom. So this is a kind of art class that you can teach remotely with this booklet that will be sent to you physically. So inside that booklet, it will be for the kids usually less than 12 years old, to talk about how they feel when they look at this Last Supper picture. So I thought that was really good to introduce the next generation to the Singapore's artists, and also the a bit of tech there is because it's through Zoom. It's not that like some AR or anything. So if you guys got a specific example of a edutech tech, then I can like kind of give my opinions.
Right. So talking about tech, I know you were saying that there's so much new tech out there. There's actually another question from our participant. There's minimal interest in arts in Southeast Asia. What kind of tech can help? And yeah.
There is minimal interest.
Yeah.
Really? There's minimal interest in art in Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Wow, maybe I'm mixing with the wrong crowd, because my crowd is very interested in art. Okay, so maybe that's the sentiment of the general people. So his question is, how can tech help?
Yeah.
How can tech help?
If so, how can it help? Yeah.
Can tech help people be more interested in art?
Raise the interest.
Oh, okay. I guess it's a good thing. We assume that it's a good thing that people are interested in art, right? Okay. So we want to use technology. I guess we don't have to force it on people. In Indonesia, where my Squid Game filter went most viral, second most viral. It went most viral in Brazil, and Indonesia was the second. So I guess they're Southeast Asia and they are very interested in, I guess it's not like the classical art kind, but the Squid Game filter, I would consider that art, and check it out. Indonesia is super interested in it.
Right.
I think maybe for that, perhaps I think we are looking at maybe comparison, right? Like to, for example, like maybe it's more of the traditional art kind, but compared to like, or for example, like the US or the European counterparts, in Southeast Asia, I think we are a bit conservative in that sense that, you know, like lesser people are that much, as in I'm pretty sure, you know, compared to 10 years ago, like what you shared, right? There's a lot more interest nowadays, but yeah, in that sense, that do you think tech actually played a part in actually getting more people included, and helping you know, people understand what art is really about and appreciating it more?
I think maybe they are appreciating art, but they don't realize that they are appreciating art, just like the Squid Game filter. I guess to get people more cultured and going to art galleries to fit that idea of appreciating art is going to art galleries. Tech can help, maybe with some AR installation. I think what Team Lab is doing is really good. I've been trying to emulate them for quite a while. Team Lab, they have like big, very public friendly kind of installations at, now they have one at the, where is that place? Art Science Museum. So I guess those are very approachable and very Instagrammy for the general public. That kind of tech can really help gain interest in, for people in art.
Okay, so for our Facebook audience, if you have, you know, any last questions, you know, our session with Eugene will be up, time will be up soon. So if you have any last questions, this is your last chance. But for my side, just curious, you know, as you know, an art tech founder, you know, what is one piece of advice that you share with an audience or participants that is actually looking to enter this domain?
I guess follow your gut feeling. Don't take yourself too seriously, and don't hold your work too preciously also. Like there is a risk of, whenever you enter into art space, when you make an art project, you hold it so preciously and then you expect a lot of things from it. So don't expect anything from it. So all my art projects, right, there is a lot that I will just try and then fail. Like the NFT thing is one of them. So it's just keep on doing it. And if it fails, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. I'm not discouraged because when that one fails, I'm already working on the next one. So I guess don't expect anything from your artwork. So when you do it, if you have expectations, there is a high chance of being disappointed and then not doing your next thing. So the idea is to keep on doing, just keep on doing and keep building.
Right. Thanks, Eugene. I think today he shared really a lot of valuable advice to, you know, budding entrepreneurs out there. Be confident, keep building, and, you know, keep looking forward. Yeah, and I think it's really awesome to hear about, you know, your journey, Eugene. And I'm pretty sure our audience have actually gained a lot of insights from your sharing and your journey as well. I think for me, it's really, you know, for me, I don't have that much of the artist side of me. So really taking
There's a story that you tell yourself again.
maybe. Yeah, but it does help, like, you know, taking us behind the scenes with you, you know, providing us the insider view of the thought and effort it takes, you know, to create a new experience that our audiences actually enjoy, like, you know, the video call filters and all. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, and yeah, feel free to take your list. For my team, thanks Eugene, we'll catch you around.
Thank you, Eugene.
Yeah, so for those of you
who are tuning in on Facebook, this evening we have three very interesting speakers, and you have just heard from Eugene Soh, the creator of the viral Instagram filter inspired by the Squid Game. And next up, we would actually like to invite Kevin Lim, Deputy Director of the Digital and Transformation Team at National Gallery, as well as Kevin Quah, founder of TicTag on Stage, to share more about what our local art scene is doing to transform the experience at the museum.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Kevin.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
On stage.
Yeah, really glad to have both of you here. Since we are talking about the Y-Lab Foundry program, thought it's really apt to invite you guys to share more about the Y-Lab Foundry program with our audience.
Yep, it is indeed our pleasure to have both of you here with us. So I'll do a quick introduction. Kevin Quah is the co-founder of TicTag, a data science startup that allows data science and AI teams to leverage on their crowdsourced community of taggers to train and label their data efficiently and scalably. And TicTag has been a startup that was part of the previous run of the Y-Lab Foundry program. And Kevin Quah today will actually share more about his experience in the participation of the program. So Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself as well as what you do at TicTag to the audience?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Kevin. I'm co-founder and CEO of TicTag. Right now, I'm in Seoul, and that's really because I was participating in the K-Come Up conference that was actually happening in Seoul last week, and getting to meet some of my Korean team for the first time in person. So that's really exciting for me. TicTag, as Christine has already mentioned, we're a data annotation startup. So TicTag, we mean different things to different people. For like the layperson, like yourself and myself, like you can use TicTag to monetize your time, really spend your spare time doing data annotation tasks and then use that to redeem for rewards. For AI and data companies, it's a way for them to crowdsource the data, get it labeled really quickly. So like any kind of AI data team, in fact, anything to do with data at all, if you need like human people to look at it, it's something that we can help to make happen. Yeah. And as to what I do at TicTag, I mean, I spend a lot of time talking to people, it seems, because that's my job. I'm basically the biggest cheerleader for the company. Yeah.
Right. And I heard that the TicTag team actually worked very closely with Kevin Lim's team from the National Gallery to drive innovation at the museum. Hi, Kevin Lim. I just wanted to, get you to share a bit about yourself and your role at National Gallery with the audience.
Thanks. So hi everyone, I'm Kevin Lim. I'm at National Gallery Singapore, and literally right now I'm still in office. We're fresh off the opening of the Y-Lab showcase this morning, and some of you might start to see that in the press it's being mentioned already, so we're super excited. So many things happening at the same time, and so glad for Startup X, TicTag, as well as Eugene in joining our journey. So we're in a pioneering phase. We're doing something that is quite unusual. For those of you who say that art is nascent, it's something that is abstract to a lot of people, we don't blame you. For Singapore being such a young nation compared to the US and the UK, there's just so much happening there, and so much history with art that they've had, that we've yet to take our own journey as well. And so we see technology as a potential accelerator for what we want to do here. And over here at the gallery, I actually work as a Deputy Director for Innovation and Transformation. So it's quite a mouthful. But basically, I have wonderful people in different teams, all given this we were gifted this opportunity, let's put it that way, to help reimagine how the way a museum ought to work. And people like Kevin Quah, Eugene Soh, are instruments to help us think bigger, think wider, and run faster. So that's what I was very excited to work with everyone here today, including with the folks at StartupX as well.
Right. Thanks, Kevin. So I understand that you were saying that you all work on new experiences with the startups. So right now we have the Y-Lab Foundry program, which is just in line with the launch of the Y-Lab space. So I'm a bit curious. I know you're part of the founding team of the Y-Lab Foundry program. What was the inspiration behind this program altogether?
Are you talking about the Y-Lab like as a whole, or the Foundry in itself?
I'm sure the audience would like to hear both. Maybe you can share a bit more on both sides.
Okay, sure. So when we first started out at the gallery, we opened in November 2015. So you can see how young we are. We're technically almost 6 years old at this point. And considerably for our size and everything, we're quite young. Yet we're quite massive. I mean, for our size of about 64,000 square meters, it's a size equivalent to a fairly large museum in Paris or even in the US also. So it's a big statement that Singapore is making by having such a huge museum. And it's also a testament to the size of collection we have. it's not often you get a country or nation committing so much resources to build out its art potential. And being a museum in Singapore that's of this caliber, we don't just show modern art from Singapore, but also that of Southeast Asia. And we found so far that in building this out, it's interesting because Singapore still plays that port of call, still plays the role of a hub for Southeast Asian region. Because when we display artwork from the region, we're kind of helping to elevate the entire region as well, because we do a very good job trying to present everything. So when we did all that, that's a kind of dream, a vision that we were supposed to achieve. One of the first few things that came out of all that ambition and effort was to try and think about how we could do things a little bit differently, not just how a traditional museum would go about it. And so together with Siak, our CEO, we imagined an in-house innovation team, and that gave birth to Quah X. And from there, we built a lot of innovation ventures internally. And as we continue to build a lot of different innovation ventures that go around the concept of art experiences, visitor experiences, as well as work experiences, we were trying to tackle it at different levels. We realized that actually, if we could afford to, we should take more risks. And that's where Y-Lab came to be. Y-Lab takes more risks, works with startups more directly, and works on a lot of very untested ideas so that we can find something that could really be potentially a way to jumpstart the entire thinking process. So in a way, we risk manage by having different teams. Y-Lab takes on higher risk, more adventurous, and works together closer to the startup ecosystem, including the startups and the investors. Then Quah is an in-house team to really deliver some of the outcomes. And finally, we have one more team called Digital Delivery that actually looks at scaling some of the products and services, scale it to operational level, scale for sustainability, and so on and so forth. So there are 3 teams in total that look through the entire life cycle of how innovation comes from an idea all the way to a product or service that's commercialized. So that's the gist of it. It's this idea that you can see we're taking baby steps and we're getting more and more aggressive over time. And today was a big milestone because we actually have physical presence that we can go out to the public, and the public can actually come in and see some of the products, some of the prototypes, work in progress, give us feedback, or even do beta testing with us in future as well. So we're very excited on that.
Right. Thanks, Kevin, for sharing that. Congratulations on the launch. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for the startups, they are tuning in. Yes, test bidding opportunity is something that you can look forward to with the National Gallery side. From the startups perspective on this, Kevin from TicTag just wanted to check in with your team. What got your team actually interested to sign up for the program? And given that you are in a very different field, right? Like not exactly fit into, that's not the first thing that people will think about when we think about art and museums. So what got you interested to join the Y-Lab program?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my previous life, I was actually working in an artificial intelligence company right here in Singapore as well. So from there, we actually knew that the gallery was really interested in innovating, right? And one of the spearheaders of all this innovation was actually Kevin Lim. So that's how we knew, hey, this guy is super innovative. Like if we ever do something by ourselves, we definitely have to start by talking to him at some point in time, right? So we had ideas. It's not that as a AI and data science startup, we had no ideas of how to possibly approach this situation. But it was really through meeting and speaking with Kevin from Y-Lab that we really got an idea that, hey, this can really be applied for the art space as well, right? So like I mentioned, like TicTag, we do the data annotation process, right? So you can actually draw boxes and stuff and give feedback, which tends to serve as metadata for these kinds of whether it's images or text, right? So what Kevin and team did when we interacted with them, when we talked to them, we realized that, am I hanging?
No. I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm cool. Okay, cool, because everything just froze for a second. Yeah, so what we realized through this process was that there's a lot of applications for TicTag's technology also, and it wasn't just within AI and data science, right? We realized that by talking to Kevin, we're able to apply it to art as well and be able to connect citizens maybe who are not even interested in art to the art pieces themselves. So we modified our user interface. We designed the interface where basically people were able to go onto the TicTag application, view art pieces, right? And then comparing it with the real life counterparts, they're able to give, input their interests, memories, interpretations, emotions onto what they were feeling about a particular art piece, right? And this was really honed through collaboration with the Y-Lab team, because like prior to this, there was no way that we would have figured out, okay, this is exactly what they wanted, right? And there was no way we would have navigated like the different stakeholders as well. So it was really through this interaction with Y-Lab that we're able to figure out like how best to proceed and how to like control the scope of the project so it didn't like, explode into a million pieces. Yeah.
Right. That is really interesting to hear. So for the startups who actually heard what Kevin said, you can try applying to the Foundry program. So eventually we'll actually find ways for you to incorporate art into your startup. So don't worry if it's not directly related for now, because I'm pretty sure there's a way for you to apply art visitor and work experience into your solution as well. So I'm really interested to find out a bit more from Kevin Quah actually. What are some of the activities that your team has done during the program itself?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important ones was actually meeting with the stakeholders themselves. So it was really fortunate that we'll be able to be connected with the curatorial team within with the gallery, because they gave their direct feedback to us. They were saying, okay, so there are certain parts of the art that definitely have to be respected as well. The experts have come in with their years of experience, and of course, these are things that really do have to be respected, because like it's not like everyone can just voice their own opinions on and should be taken as gospel. That's not the case, right? So we've been very careful to make sure that everything is fairly open-ended as well. We cannot also impose our own views on what a particular art piece should be interpreted as, right? People are still free to interpret it as they choose, but of course there's some guidance from the existing data that we already have, right? So it was really through this kind of experience that we found really interesting as well, because imposter syndrome aside, I definitely don't consider myself much of an artist, but it was really through like their careful guidance that we're able to get to this stage. Yeah.
Right. I think Kevin from TicTag actually mentioned a couple of things that he managed to receive support from the National Gallery team. Wanted to check in with like Kevin from National Gallery side, right? Like what are some of the other kind of support? Like I know there is the art immersion program that teams can actually look forward to if they are shortlisted, and there is a fee for them to actually work with some of the internal teams within National Gallery itself. Could you share a bit more about that with us?
Yeah, there's a lot that we can do here. As part of the program that we offer, currently there's a showcase where some of the products and services that come off this program that's fairly successful, or even if they fail but they're novel, we put them up on display as a form of validation, and also as a way to engage the public to be more interested or curious about what we're doing, right? So startups get support in the sense that there's exposure. That's one extent. You start to also get a lot of ability for you to test concepts and ideas with a public that's captive. We actually have quite a decent footfall at the gallery itself. We get about 1.5 to 1.6 mil visitors per year in general. But of course, with COVID, it's a bit affected. But even then, just in the few days of opening of the Y-Lab showcase, a lot of people drop in, especially when we have massive new exhibitions like Namjoon Park exhibition coming up, as well as Children Biennale that's happening right now. And in January, we'll have Light to Night Festival. All these usually generate quite a lot of traffic. And we're in a very optimal place in which the footfall also comes through. So that's one thing. The other thing that we have is a workspace that's coming up. And that's where we get to brainstorm and build products and solutions together. It's almost like having an artist in residence, but you can think of yourself as a art techie in residence, where you get to work alongside some of us, curators, artists, all come together, form a little commune of sorts. We also have a lot of community building ability here. We focus on like a Discord community that we have, the Art Tech one, that the team runs. And we have a very strong professional volunteer program where people who have very specific skill sets like UX, fintech, IP management, and all that, some of them are interested in art and figuring out how to apply their skills into this domain. They form this volunteer group to give advice and all that. So we can offer mentorship as well. Some of these folks are excellent in getting feedback for some things that the startups are developing. And I've sat through some of these sharing sessions and really saw that just by having this community of very smart people around, it actually helps you build rigor into your product and really helps to build some resilience there so that when the startups can stand on their own 2 feet and really go out there and challenge possible investors and make strong pitches and all that. So we want to give startups, at the end of the day, it's really to benefit startups. Give them the idea that whatever they are thinking of building, we help them sharpen it and help them find the right pivots to get them to interesting new markets. Essentially help them unlock new markets, such as even our art market or our art and culture sector, right? In itself, we're helping them pivot. Like when Kevin Carr gave the example there, we help them reframe the thinking of what their solution is about so that suddenly one product could have multiple markets they can access. So it's all about some of the tangential ideas that could be explored, and we help guide them through that thinking as well. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Right.
Right. So I guess it's really good support for the startups. They get branding, they get chances to actually exhibit their solution in the gallery itself. So I think that's really exciting. So for those of you who wants to apply, please do go onto our website after this and apply, send your applications to us. Yeah, with that, we actually have another question from our participants on Facebook Live. So this question is directed I think more towards Kevin Lim. So with the development of AI art, one can mimic any art that he wants. Does that actually ruin the art market, especially for the artists?
Yeah, so that's interesting. At the showcase and some of we had a program on AI and art where we invited very interesting people behind the scenes, like people from NVIDIA, they gave a talk, and then we had some artists that were familiar with AI systems. We are also in touch with, or part of a community consists of an artist that dabbles in GAN technology, which is generative adversarial networks. And so the idea of agency, the idea of creativity and where it originates from, and the question of does it matter or not, whether it's a machine that generates it, whether it's a copy or is it derivatives, all these questions come to bear. Today, we ask these questions about, is it valid? Is it sanctioned? Is it something that we should accept? These questions are actually being revisited in the early days, even in lower tech days. I mean, in the early days where you have photocopiers and all that, people were already experimenting and testing the notion of what is art if I am able to duplicate it. I guess at the end of the day, one of the learnings is that real art is not just about the materialism that emerges from it. You know, it's so if you stitch something and I stitch something similar, there's a materialism in it. Actually, art in itself is the very idea of what you're trying to convey. So if you think about it, it's the narrative that you're trying to convey. It just so happens that the manifestation of it, be it on canvas, a stitch work, or sculpture, it encapsulates that thinking. So for example, the strongest example was, at the gallery here, there's a piece of work that's very absurd. And the reason why is because if you go to Singapore Gallery 2, there's a piece of artwork where you wouldn't even realize it's artwork, and you might even step over it without realizing. The artwork actually, it's called 2x2, okay? It's my favorite. I think it's also the museum director's favorite because it's very crazy. All it is that it's a carving that's carved into the wall and the floor in the shape of a square, and it's in a 90-degree angle going from the floor to the wall. It's a carving of like a square box, 2x2. So it's like, I think it's 2 meters by 2 meters. And that is considered art, modern art. And then people were saying, are you sure? Like, I can't buy this, I can't take this, it's immaterial. But that's the very essence of art. Art is a concept. And it's a strong awakening to tell people that art need not exist as a pure physical material object. Art is what the value is in your head. You know, it is something that if you agree with my idea of what I'm trying to convey, that's the value that you're buying. So actually art in itself is immaterial. It's just that we associate it with something to give it value. But therefore, what I'm trying to say is when you duplicate it, either you're making a new statement or you're not making a real statement at all. It is meaningless. So that's the danger about working technology as well, in a sense, because a lot of people see AR, VR and start to generate what they call art. But if there isn't a real message that you're conveying in doing that action, then it's a mere construct or a mere utility, and it doesn't really carry any meaning with it. So that meaningfulness is the critical component. It's the narrative, it's the story, it's everything that drives it. Artwork's all about encapsulating that. Yeah. So while people might feel happy that, oh, I got a copy of Mona Lisa, but how meaningful is that? You know, it's not the same thing. It lacks that aura that we're talking about. When you see the original piece and you having that copy, it makes you feel closer, but you know for sure that it's not the real thing. It doesn't convey that actual aura of the artist that actually put it together. So it's something that would, if you fall in love with artwork, that those kinds of detailed level of thinking would then come to bear. It is hard if you distance yourself away from it. So my main message to people is don't be afraid of art. You don't have to fully understand it. In fact, if you fall in love with art, it's because the artwork has found you, but you have to be ready for it. It's a bit like love, right? So yeah, you just have to be open to fall in love with art. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very long-winded way of explaining why duplication and all that does not matter actually.
Right.
So I wanted to point out that this is exactly one of the reasons why you definitely have to join Y-Lab, because like you don't get these kinds of deep insights and inspiring, passionate speeches out of anywhere else. Like you get it from Kevin Lim over here. I mean, he's given this like a few times, and I always feel inspired by it.
Right, definitely. Yeah, so maybe, with that, I'm directing my question to Kevin from TicTag. Yeah, so, like besides the inspirational and speeches from Kevin's team, also wanted to ask you, could you share with the audience, what some of the growth that you actually see your team grew during the program itself, taking part in the Y-Lab Foundry program. What are some of the growths that you guys have encountered?
Yeah, I think one of our biggest takeaways was that we actually got to explore an entire domain area that was like we never tapped on before, right? And through this, we actually added on to our product as well. So TicTag, because we deal with multiple data types, one of this was this new one that was really inspired by the entire project with Y-Lab, which was what we like to call bound and tag. So initially, we could draw boxes on images, but this one gave us the ability to draw boxes and add on labels as well, right? Which we came to realize had so many different applications in so many different other ways as well, right? We got connected to the great folk from Enterprise Singapore, thanks to the folk from Y-Lab also. And then we actually started a project with them where we're able to capture feedback on a physical exhibit as well. Yeah, and we're finding new ways and means of using this new data type, I would say, in so many different ways. So it's that kind of feeling of expanding our horizons that allowed us to be able to explore all these different new methods of seeing what our product could do. Yeah.
Right. So that's also a tip for all of the audience calling in, even you guys are not in a directly relevant industry or domain. There are still ways that you can come in and try to transform the art, the work, or the visitor experience at the gallery. Yeah, Christine, you wanted to share the question?
Right. So out of all the growth seen by your team, right, what do you think is your biggest takeaway? Also directed at Kevin Quah.
Right. Well, I think it was really the kind of passion and enthusiasm that the Y-Lab team has shown to us. I mean, we were very lucky that we already had a bit of idea in mind. And by working together with them, we were able to bring this to fruition. So just to give like a kind of a glimpse at what our project was, we tried to go around gathering about 500 different, like what we call tags for each of the artworks that we're representing. So we put like 10 of the really recognizable artworks of National Gallery on that are featured in the National Gallery onto the TicTag platform. Then we got our taggers to go in and give their thoughts, feelings, emotions about them, right? We were expecting, and maybe like we were expecting to try and get to about 500. What we managed to get was 2,700 different tags, right? And when you put it all together, it's really mind-blowing. You see what people are looking at and how they look at different art pieces. And sometimes they identify things that you never even thought of before. So in one of the pieces, Riot, right, which really represents the Hock-Lee bus riots during 1954 and 1955 in Singapore. Somebody drew a box around what I thought was a globe, right? Something that looked like the Earth, right? And initially, when I drew a box around it, like when I tried it out myself, I thought it was a globe. And then they pointed out interesting shield. And that really sparked something in my head, because like, what? That didn't even look like a shield to me before. So I went to go look it up, and I realized that that shield that would have been used in the Hock-Lee bus riots actually is displayed in the National Museum of Singapore. And you see like a picture, and it really does look like that shield. So I think one thing that you can really take away from this is that everyone has many different experiences, and you can glean so much from, you know, people that you don't know, people who have a different perspective from you, and they can add this on to, you know, this existing body of knowledge that we already have. That really makes it really fascinating to see how everything comes together. Yeah.
Right, that's really interesting. So it's all about new perspectives. So I guess having your idea showcased out to the public, it actually helped to gather more perspectives from people from around different industries as well. Yep. So with that, we actually have a question from Faye on Facebook Live. I know Kevin has answered to this, but maybe I'll just share to the rest who have not been looking at the comments. So the question from Faye was that art without monetary value actually lacks utility to the masses and hence has a very small audience. What is National Gallery doing to help with the masses appreciate art?
Okay, so that's several questions in one actually. First, there's an assumption that art without monetary value lacks utility. Actually, it shouldn't matter. Art in itself has priceless value on its own. When people attach financial value around it, there are many factors that dictate the value of that in terms of monetary dollars. But there's other values, social value, historical value. Those things don't often, I won't say won't contribute, but might not be factored into the asking price and all that. There are many factors. This is why the museums generally do not put price tags on their artwork, although that would be very fascinating. And I can tell you that some of the artworks can buy you an island, but we don't do that because once you attach a financial value, it also starts to put horse blinds around you. You start to lose perspective on the art having its own intrinsic value. And what could be valuable to Shihan might not be valuable to Christine. It's really personal. So for that, number one, at first level, it's really this idea that what the gallery offers is very important, primarily access. Access meaning that if you realize for Singaporeans and PRs, you are actually given free access to see the national collection. And that's very important because A, it's your tax dollars at work. B, it's a way for you to understand the world we live in as depicted through history, as depicted through art, and also to see it from multiple perspectives, different artists of different race and from different regions of the world. It's very important to see all those perspectives and start to realize new ways of really perceiving what you take for granted. So all these values, there's so many notions that, you know, in Singapore, we're so economically trained and driven and nurtured. This is the part that's quite scary in that we start to lose perspective on the other multifaceted aspects of life. And that's what this whole art effort is really all about, that there's so much more that can be gained from it. But granted, access is one thing. The other part that we have to do is create curiosity and excitement. And this is exactly why the Foundry was born. This is why all of us here today, because we want to create the excitement and curiosity on figuring out, well, if this is in our hands today, instead of just sitting down and bemoaning the plight of art and how no one's taking it up, are you going to step up, join the program, and actually make a difference? Because the idea that you have, the technology you might put out, could make a big difference. And in Singapore, we all know that we love our gadgets, our iPhones, our Galaxy Folds, and all that so much. If this is the vernacular that we live and breathe, we live tech, then maybe this is a channel in which art can also proliferate. So this is why we're so excited in trying to do this. Create access, create curiosity, and create that drive in you to make a difference. That's what we're hoping to harness in the program. I hope that helps.
Definitely. I think it does help to, give us a deeper insight of what the team is looking at doing also. Also wanted to, take this back to Kevin from TicTag. Having been part of the Y-Lab Foundry program, and I'm pretty sure that as there is that learning curve, understanding about about the National Gallery and how your team comes into play. What are some of the challenges that you actually encountered during the program itself? Trying to find the fit to work with the business units, and could you give a tip to our participants that are keen to join in the program of how to overcome that?
Yeah, I think we went in with some preconceived notions about how we could help the gallery in the first place. We had this idea that, perhaps the search wasn't working as well as it should be, and then there was a way for us to boost that. We didn't come in from the perspective of how to connect the citizens to the artworks, art pieces themselves. So, I think probably one tip that I would bring forward is that you shouldn't be too fixated on the very first idea that you have, right? Be ready, keep an open mind. Let the Y-Lab team give their inputs, be very willing to listen, and of course, modify your idea along the way. Because at the end of the day, it's what, they are the experts. They are the ones who are going to come in with a lot of on the ground insights as well, and also insights from the actual teams, like the teams within the Y-Lab that are, or rather within the gallery, that are going to be working with you, right? So definitely while the initial idea is always great, don't be afraid to let it go, and then maybe it'll transform into something else, and you can bring that forward also. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Kevin from TicTag for sharing that. I know some of you guys have program-related questions. Don't worry, Christine and I will actually take those questions towards the end. Yeah, so keep your program-related questions coming. Also, asking this question to Kevin from National Gallery side. What are some of the opportunities that you can see, startups that are keen to apply, or audiences that are keen to come in to apply for the Y-Lab Foundry? What are some of the opportunities that you think that they can come in for?
Yeah, so I can give an example, maybe a short story, how you could imagine yourselves being in this shoe. So in the earlier days before Y-Lab existed, CoLab was around, the innovation team, and we were thinking, okay, how we think of the next big idea? And we all know that some of the best ideas actually don't come from within the company. We have to figure out how to create a kind of opportunity for people to share their ideas and actually build with us. And that's one point where we wanted to test the idea that, okay, let's bring in people from outside. Let's bring people from outside and not be afraid to undress the museum. That is to say, figure out how to demystify all the preconceptions about what they imagine the museum to be all about. And then when they start to realize all the things that we actually go do here, they might suddenly have a spark and imagine, hey, if that's the case, we could do that. So what we did was we actually have what we call innovation tour. So it's a very geeky thing where a few of us techie people actually leading a tour about museum, so that we could offer a different perspective on how a museum operated from a very technological perspective. So we could easily bridge that kind of thinking for people who are less comfortable with art. And what we did was we took computer science students from NUS, and these were some of the, we were very fortunate. I think there was this program that was a special program, and these students were I think they were excelling in their school very well or something. So they are in a special program of some sort. So they were exposed to different things. And so we took them to explore the different exhibits and explain to them how we do data analytics, how we actually do indoor navigation and all that. And as they experience the exhibitions, a lot of questions pop in their head. For example, I know one of the things that they realized was that we could not be too prescriptive about art. Because if we tell people what art is and what it is not, it's also, again, putting on a horse blind to say that the world is actually very small. So this challenge of being open had a problem, which was that if we're too open, a newbie that stepped into the exhibition will be completely lost. They have no idea how to understand the art. And yes, there'll be some stories and audio tours, but it's still quite hard to grasp. So that's where the bright spark of our very first chatbot came about. In one of the exhibitions called Colors of Impressionism, we actually had students go through, and one of the students was a very good hacker / computer science kid who said that, look, I see what's going on here, but I think I can figure out a way to help your visitors sort of at least have some understanding of what they're seeing. He proposed to build a chatbot that actually kind of told people what this artwork was about, and not tell them answers, but ask them kind of general questions about the artwork. And this was done, and when he asked that, we started to think about it and hook him up with some curators to think through. And that's where back then we had a curatorial director who was so supportive of the idea that he personally penned down some questions that the chatbot could ask. So it's a good collaboration. And so that didn't involve too much AI. It's more rule-based programming, but it's a very first step in having a man and machine interaction to understand art, which in itself as a concept is quite interesting, basic but interesting. So that kind of helped jumpstart the whole idea about how people could really work with us. It's just the sheer exposure and the sheer outside-in thinking that allowed us to play around and explore. And we have people inside here who are very supportive, and sometimes they are afraid also. They are afraid about some of this work, and we're here to de-risk and manage all those risks with them. So these are some of the ways in which we navigate the complexities of museum, and also some of the stereotypes and the biasness that or generalization that people might have about museums, which is very similar to libraries. You know, people might say, "Oh, library, oh, you work in library? Do you just put books on shelves?" Like that, I tell you, the stuff that goes on here is insane. It's like running a full-fledged business, a big tech firm. There's just so much going on. It's hard to fathom, like, we're just a museum. Why are we so busy? I don't know why. It's just that we want to do a lot. Yeah. So, yeah. But in a nutshell, that's kind of like how we break it down. This Foundry program will do part of that too. We will actually expose you to what's going on. We'll invite different people who work in different sections to share about what they do. And from there, there'll be challenges that you can see, and maybe some of you might have bright ideas on how to solve them, you know? So, yeah.
Right.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Kevin, for the interesting example from NUS students. Yep. So I believe that there will be more news stories coming out when our startups apply and work with you guys for the Y-Lab Foundry program up next. So I have one last question for Kevin Quah. So knowing what you know now, what would be one piece of advice that you actually give to other participants when they join the Y-Lab Foundry program?
So I think definitely treasure the time that you get to spend with the Y-Lab team. They really are very knowledgeable and really passionate about art. So I mean, in terms of like advice, I would say, I mean, I did mention this before, but definitely going with an open mind, because they will help to tear down any notions that you previously had, and then help to rebuild them as well into something that's actually workable. So at the end of the day, what you should really try to do is come up with something that might have like some potential users, and at the end of the day, like, it's about getting value as well. I think that's the focus of Y-Lab. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, I think before we wrap up the session here with Kevin from TicTag, Kevin from National Gallery, Kevin from National Gallery, do you want to show us, the very fancy haircut that you have?
Oh, okay. I have to turn off my background for that. Give me 1 second.
So for those of you that are joining in, yeah, you get a sneak peek of like Kevin's
I don't know if you
gallery.
can see it. Just can you see it?
Yes, we
What?
can.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. But we figured today is the opening, so like let's just go nuts lah. Yeah.
Right.
What did you
really
have to tell your hairdresser?
Oh, I just said, hey, we're launching this tomorrow. Can you I just want to put a Y at first. The next thing I know, he put the whole thing there. Yeah, but
Awesome.
he and I he loves to do different things at the back of my head without my knowledge. So it really depends on his mood.
Right. And okay, one last thing that I would like to ask Kevin from National Gallery side. So after working with so many startups, what is one piece of advice for the startups that are coming in, that are applying for this program? What kind of mentality should they come in, or what one piece of advice you'll be giving them?
I think what Kevin shared earlier is a good example. I mean, Kevin from TicTag, when he came in with his product, right, or the service of tagging works. I think the very first time we think of something, that very first inception, you must not be afraid to tear it apart and really explore, because if you think about it, if it was so straightforward and easy, there's no need for us. What we attempt to do here is to not simply strike fear, but the whole idea is to really, really examine the full potential of what can be done. And when we start to talk to more people, because one thing about this place is that we don't just have a lot of staff, we have actual live visitors. And when we test that, we start to really ideate and stretch the boundaries a little bit further. And the very first idea might morph into something completely different, but that's just how life is. But that's how evolution happens. And so don't be scared. At the same time, you also must have the drive lah. It can be tiring, but at some point you start to realize that without all these inputs and all these things that we're gathering, you're missing out an opportunity to catch on to something potentially powerful as well. Yeah. Right. So that's my only advice. Yeah.
Right. Thanks for sharing that. So for the startups that are interested to apply for the Y-Lab Foundry, I guess for the advice from both our panelists today is don't be afraid to push the boundaries. And just a sneak peek, Kevin from National Gallery, his team has actually prepped a lot of content on art immersion that would actually help you to actually set the stage and understand how the National Gallery functions a bit more. So this will actually help you to understand the program as well. Okay, and I think due to time constraint, thank you, Kevin from TicTag, and thank you for Kevin from National Gallery to join us today. We'll just spend the last couple of minutes answering some of the program-related questions. Really thankful for both Kevins for joining us and sharing with us your insights about the Y-Lab Foundry, and we definitely look forward to more exciting ideas in Y-Lab Foundry 2021. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for having us, and good luck to everyone applying.
And look forward to seeing some of you join the program. See you there.
See you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So as Shan has mentioned, we'll be opening up the floor to answer any questions that you guys have about the Y-Lab Foundry program. So just do type in your comments in the Facebook chat and we'll answer from here. I think to start off with, we actually have a question from Keith. Is the bootcamp going to be virtual or physical? Yep, so I'll take that question. For our bootcamp itself, it will be happening from 14 to 16 December and it will be fully virtual. Yeah, but do take note that our pitch day will actually be physical, but not to worry because I understand that we have a few overseas startups that have been applying to us. So for those startups that cannot be with us in the gallery physically for the pitch day on 26th of January, we'll actually make special arrangements for you guys to dial in. Yeah, but for now, the bootcamp will be virtual.
Yeah, so for overseas team, that are keen to actually looking at working with the National Gallery team, definitely this program, we'll still be doing it virtually, so do join us. And then, yes, we do have a question from Pravin on what kind of content should we include in our application for Y-Lab Foundry program application. So the things that, for the team we are looking out for would be, for example, if you guys are applying as a team itself, then, what's your team dynamics, what's the team composition itself. For the individuals, don't worry. We will also be looking at, what kind of ideas that you guys have. If your idea is still at a very early stage, doesn't really matter, because like what I've mentioned earlier, the Y-Lab team has actually prepped content on art immersion as well, helping you to understand, from curatorial to the visitor side, to the work experience, what are some of the opportunities there, and for you to understand about the program a bit more, and for you to actually craft an idea that you can actually work on. The relevance to the art, the work, and the visitor experience, as well as the commitment to the program. That's something that we value as well. So we believe that every single component of the program actually plays a part in helping you to develop a holistic idea, and finding that bridge to collaborate with the relevant units within the National Gallery itself. So to be able to commit for the key dates that we'll be sharing shortly as well. Yeah.
Yep. So talking about the key dates, we actually have another question from Keith, who's asking how the schedule is like for the bootcamp. So not to worry, you can actually find more information on that on our website, foundry.ylab.sg, but I'll share a bit more on the key dates that you guys have to take note of. So the very first date that you have to take note of would actually be the 8th of December, because that is when registrations will close. So if you are applying for that program, please remember 8th of December is the most important date that you have, because that's after that registration deadline, you won't be able to join the program anymore. So the next key dates, of course, would be our Foundry Bootcamp, which is happening on 14th to 16th of December. And afterwards, in January, we'll announce the shortlisted finalists, proceed on to mentor session as well as pitch review session, and we'll conclude the program on 26th of January. Which is the pitch date for all our startups, for the shortlisted startups to come and pitch at the gallery itself.
I think maybe, Christine, we also prep, the slide to share with everybody, the key dates. Maybe we can just put it up. And yes, so Keith, if you're interested, and for all the other audience that are interested in the timeline, this is the timeline for the program itself. You can take a screenshot of it. But like what Christine has mentioned, you can also find it on the website itself. Right. Yeah, so I think also wanted to see if there's any questions from the rest of the audience that are dialing in. Okay. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just drop us a note. Happy to share. So some of the commonly asked questions that we have received also, like what that we have received on email, is whether you guys can join as an individual. Yes, for this program, we are open to both individuals and teams, bringing in both individuals and teams for the program. And what are some of the things that you can expect from the program? So like I think what Kevin, both Kevins from National Gallery and TicTag has shared. There will be mentoring opportunities, there will be test bidding opportunity, and then there would be a pitch day where we'll be bringing in audience to actually for the top teams. We're bringing in an audience to actually hear about your ideas, as well as I think on the Y-Lab team side, they'll also be bridging, facilitating certain link ups with the relevant units for you to actually pilot or try your ideas. Yeah. Okay. Right, and with that, I think we have answered most of the questions on Facebook Live. And if you guys have any more questions, you can just write into us, or you can leave a comment in the Facebook, and my team will actually help to answer them. Okay, and with that, we'll probably just share with you the QR code for those of you guys that are interested to find out more about the program. If not, you can head over to foundry.ylab.sg. That's where you'll learn more about the program. And thank you for staying throughout with us. We look forward to your application, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Remember 8th of December.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.